I'm so fucking tired. Finally, we have a movie that's not a horror movie. I'm pretty sure 6 out of the last 7 movies that I've seen in theaters were all horror movies, so I'm glad that we finally have something different. Now, I had high hopes for this movie because for some reason I kept hearing how Black Adam apparently did well in its first ever preview screenings, mostly due to the shitload of marketing for this movie from Dwayne Johnson's Facebook page. I swear he posts way too much. So I've been looking forward to this one. I mean, even before all that, like when it got officially announced, like that The Rock was going to play a superhero. But it's crazy how this movie is technically like 15 years in the making. 15 years. So you bet your ass that it better be as the best that it can be. Unfortunately, it isn't. But that's not to say that it's terrible though. So Black Adam is the movie that unlocks the next era in the DC universe. It tells the origin story of Teth Adam, who was bestowed an almighty power from the gods. But after using them for the wrong reasons, he was imprisoned. Until now. Now, apparently this movie was actually going to be R-rated. Yeah, I heard that on social media that the producers wanted to push the film as far as they could with the action sequences and the kill scenes. However, ended up opting to like remove those super violent scenes for a PG-13 rating. Which, I mean, I've always wanted to see like superhero movies be as dark as they are in the comics, and I know DC is known for like going down that route far more than Marvel does, you know, for example, like with what the Joker and Batman. But obviously with that PG-13 rating, it opens the movie up to a bigger audience base, and I guess they probably earn more money off of it. Yada yada yada, all that stuff. We've heard it time and time again. Same went for Venom, same applies here. Because that's certainly how this movie goes. Yes, they do at times push the PG-13 rating with some of the kills being semi-gruesome, but this movie most definitely goes down the route of other PG-13 superhero movies where there are a lot of jokes and instances which may appeal to kids, and one of the main characters Black Adam is trying to help is a kid. So because of that, you got a few cringy and jokes in here that are similar to ones that you find in other superhero movies, like in Marvel movies, for example. Yeah, I can definitely see this new Black Adam movie appealing more to kids. I, for one, did wish that superhero movies were as violent or dark as they are in the comics, like I said. This isn't one of those. Although we do get like slight, very, very tiny glimpses of brutal acts of violence in this movie, so like it's not all like how Thor Love and Thunder was, where that movie just felt like it was made by kids. Black Adam was a pretty action-packed movie, and there wasn't a huge load of downtime. The action and visual effects were pretty satisfying to watch, and I did enjoy them, especially towards the end. But I don't know if it was just me or not, or like the theater I was in, but were the sounds and audio like not loud enough? Did anyone else experience that? Maybe it was just my theater that was just fucked up. I mean, I paid to see it in the biggest screen with the loudest audio. I got the big screen, but I didn't get the loud audio, which meant that the big moments in this film weren't really experienced as they should have been, unfortunately. But other than the very stimulating visual effects and action, most other things in this movie are pretty subpar, and I feel like this is a film that really nothing too much happens in it, and is one that I'm just going to largely forget or only remember very key moments. And as an origin story for Black Adam, I just felt like it could have been done much better. There were like certain themes in this movie which could have been explored more thoroughly, especially of Black Adam being an anti-hero and like not knowing if he was a good guy or a bad guy. The movie tries to paint him as an anti-hero, but the whole arc of him transforming from like bad to good didn't really get explored to its full extent, because for the most part I feel like he was just punishing like bad people from even like in the very start. I don't know though, I mean, I've never really read the comics or anything, so I'm not entirely familiar with Black Adam and his comic self. I do know that movie adaptations tend to differ from the comics a little bit, but I'm pretty sure the movie does market Black Adam or like describe him as an anti-hero, but honestly all I see in this movie is that he's a hero like all throughout the movie. I mean, he does kill people in this movie, but I feel like they deserve to be killed. I also feel like the bit at the start which talked about the creation of Black Adam and how he became locked up was very rushed, and for me it didn't really paint him as an anti-hero. There were a few twists and turns though, which I didn't really expect, but I did enjoy, so at least there's that. But also, apart from Black Adam, it was exciting seeing a few new heroes combined known as the Justice Society making their DCEU debut, comprising of Hawkman, Atom Smasher, Dr. Fate, and Cyclone. Or at least I thought. Even though I sort of ended up liking them, especially Hawkman and Dr. Fate, I kind of felt like it was just like a Suicide Squad 2016 or Justice League theatrical cut type situation where these characters just come into the equation and we just know little to nothing about their backstories or origins. We just get a glimpse of their powers in this movie and that's it, which does make us care very little for them, like the characters in this movie. They were just there to aid Black Adam, I guess, who was the main star of the movie, and I guess Dwayne Johnson does shine as him. However, as an origin story, it was pretty underwhelming, and I also didn't find myself caring too much for the story either. There wasn't really a high stake of urgency. There were maybe one or two scenes where I felt a little tiny bit of emotion, but I really didn't find myself caring too much for the movie, not until the final act, where some crazy shit happened and I'm like, finally something is happening. Before that, it was just all fun and games. Yeah, the last few moments of this movie were definitely the best part, but I mean, it could have been better had Black Adam's anti-hero traits been shown to its full extent early on, because then it would have been even more satisfying. Oh, I almost forgot the villain. Yeah, we need to talk about villains in superhero movies. Come on now. Everyone knows a good superhero movie has a good villain. Yeah, it was pretty poor. I mean, Black Adam was technically a villain and a hero, but like I said, his villain aspect wasn't as villainous as it maybe should have been. I mean, I had a gander at his comics like just then, and yeah, he definitely does do more evil in the comics than Dwayne Johnson ever does in this film. Although I do feel like if he did do something fucked up, then the kids watching it will be like, no, why, what the fuck? Because kids love him. I think. Is he a good role model for kids? I don't know. I always see on his Facebook that he's very like nice with his kids and hangs out with them a lot. But even then, I mean, that would have made his transformation into becoming a hero even more satisfying. Look, Black Adam wasn't a terrible watch, but it definitely wasn't the best it could have been either. The story was pretty mediocre, same with some of the characters, and it ultimately felt like a film that just needed a bit more fleshing out. It's definitely one of those instances where, as a film by itself, it is kind of a letdown, and it is just a stepping stone for even greater things, because I'm sure whatever comes next for Black Adam, if it ever comes, will probably be better than this one. I'm going to give Black Adam a B-. I mean, hey, if you're going into this for the action scenes and for a fun time, then it's probably the right way, honestly. I will give this film props, though, for being kind of unpredictable for certain parts of it, especially like mostly around the final act. At one point, I felt like the movie ended, but then it just didn't. And I mean, Black Adam's introductions, moments, and powers were pretty badass, I guess. I'll give it that. But anyway, that's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you think down below. Like and sub if you enjoyed. And as always, feel free to check out any of my previous videos as well. Until next time.